In today's video, I'm going to tell you the 5 worst mistakes I made on my 80-pound weight loss journey. All told, it took me over 4 years to go from 222 down to 142 pounds. And in hindsight, I see that there are a few things that if I had just not done them, I would have saved myself a lot of heartache and a lot of time. So that's why I'm sharing these mistakes with you, in the hopes that if you can see, how I messed up, you can avoid those same pitfalls. So the first mistake I made was being in analysis paralysis. In March 2014, that was when I had my I've had enough moment. I saw myself tagged in some Facebook photos. I did not recognize myself, and I was just determined, like I had to lose the weight. But unfortunately, what I did for the rest of that year was basically to just do a lot of research and not take very much consistent action towards weight loss. I kept searching for that perfect plan and I just kept overthinking everything. And had I just picked something, anything, and just done that every single day, I would have lost weight that year. And the way I broke out of analysis paralysis finally was to realize that I had basically wasted a year of not really taking action. And so I just decided to start trying stuff. Once I started taking action, things started to change. Which leads me to mistake number 2. I didn't get on the scale quick enough. I just had all this negative emotion tied to it from the time I was a little kid. I remember, having to get on the scale and weigh myself, and it was usually embarrassing. It was always an annoyance, and I just didn't like it. And so in 2014, I was like, I'm gonna lose weight without weighing myself. But then I realized in 2015, I had wasted that whole year before, and I really didn't know where I was with my weight. I had no idea. I knew my clothes weren't fitting any better. And this phrase from Peter Drucker kept going through my head, which is what gets measured gets managed. And I thought, if I want to manage my weight, I really need to measure it. And so I finally got up the courage and I got on the scale. And that was super scary in that moment. I remember I felt sick to my stomach when, right before I just got on the scale. And I kept telling myself before though, the number's not gonna be so bad, and what actually ended up happening was I was about 40 pounds heavier than what I expected. So it was kind of a slap in the face. But in hindsight, getting on the scale and then continuing to weigh myself daily, and I still do that to this day, was the thing that helped me actually learn if what I was doing was working, and it kept me accountable. And I firmly believe that that daily habit of weighing has helped me keep the weight off in maintenance. The third mistake I made was not getting it through my head sooner that if I had gained weight, it meant that I had been eating too much. In my mind, for a long time, I thought, the reason I'm overweight is I have probably a slow metabolism. I'm really not eating that much. I'm not eating more than other people. And that led me to focus on things that were really not going to move the needle. Things like exercising, for example, just going for runs and things like that, which in hindsight, they really just increased my appetite. And what happened was, because I was in that habit of overeating, I ended up not losing weight. What I should have been doing instead of that was just focusing on how do I eat less food. And when I finally just accepted that notion that it really does come down to calories in and calories out. If the scale's not moving, that means I'm eating too much. If the scale's moving downward, I'm eating the right amount of food. Even if it feels like, oh, that's not as much food as I would like to eat. And I found this to be very helpful in maintenance, because in maintenance, that was always the place where I failed. I could sometimes get down to my goal weight, but I always gained it back. And this go around, having that firmly in my head, okay, if the scale starts to go up, it means I'm eating too much. Then I have seen, there have been plenty of times in maintenance where the weight has started to trend up a little bit. And I have this, tendency to want to believe that I'm not overeating, that, something magical has just happened with my metabolism. But I just bring myself back to reality and say, look, if the scale's moving up, that means I'm eating too much. And sure enough, every time I look at that and I change my behavior, I realize, all that's been happening is I have started to eat a little bit more here and there, or eat a little bit faster. And that's what's causing the weight gain. Mistake number 4 was me quitting often. In 2015 specifically, even though I was taking action, I was just quitting all the time. I had shiny object syndrome. I would just, I would look at this plan and be like, oh, that sounds interesting. And then I would do that for like a day or two. And then I would like try to combine it with this other thing. And then I would get really frustrated because I just kept making things harder and harder and more complicated. And so then I would just throw my hands up in the air and quit. And then I would try to figure out something else. So then there were like lots of days there where I was doing no plan at all. And because I was not focusing my efforts and because I kept quitting and doing all these different things, I really had no idea what was working and what really wasn't. In fact, at one point I thought intermittent fasting wasn't working. And so I quit that. I actually wrote in my spreadsheet that I was using as a way to track my progress that intermittent fasting didn't work, that I had to figure out something else. And at the end of that year, I almost quit on the weight loss journey completely because I was so frustrated. I had been working so hard, and that year I had only lost a net of about 15 pounds. And I was obese at the time, and I just felt like that was a complete failure. So what helped me to stop quitting was actually to look at that same spreadsheet and to try to spot some patterns, trying to see like what is actually going on. I'm working so hard and I'm not making progress, or I'm at least not making the type of progress that I feel like I should be making. And what I saw was, that was my problem. I just kept quitting. I saw that when I actually just stuck with something for a week or two at a time, I would actually lose some weight that week. But the problem was I would just quit and do something else. So I decided that moving forward, I was going to stick to a very simple plan. And that's what I did. And I actually started to lose a significant amount of weight. The fifth mistake I made was that I was in too big of a hurry. When I finally got on the scale and I saw that number staring back at me and I realized I was obese, it felt like a 4-alarm emergency. Like, I have got to get this weight off. And because I had a significant amount of weight to lose, I felt like that I should be losing a significant amount each week. And so for me, in my mind, I thought 5 pounds a week was completely reasonable. As it turns out, that was not reasonable. What is actually a reasonable goal when you're obese is something like 1 pound a week. But I was not in that mindset. That was another reason I kept quitting also, was because I would, see like, oh, it was just 1 pound this week, so I got to change it. What really helped me was to finally accept that weight loss was going to take a while. And, the fact was the weight came on gradually. It wasn't like an overnight thing. And I realized it was foolish to expect that the weight was just going to drop off of my body. So I changed my mindset. And this was one of the best things I ever did. I just told myself, I am never, ever, ever, ever going to quit on the weight loss journey. I'm not going to give up. I'm just going to, even if it takes me for the rest of my life to get this weight off, I'm going to take action every day to get it off. And when I did that, it just helped me to relax, because then there wasn't like this pressure behind me to say, oh, you gotta hurry up, you gotta hurry, you gotta hurry. And instead, I was able to relax, actually enjoy my plan, and in maintenance, continue to enjoy it, because since I didn't rush the process, I was able to just build a plan that worked in my life and make changes when needed. And so then when I got to maintenance, I didn't really need to change anything. I just kept doing what I was doing, which meant that I was able to successfully keep it off. At the end of the day, my weight loss journey was far from perfect, and chances are yours isn't going to be either. So I hope that by sharing these mistakes, maybe it can save you some time, or at the very least, hopefully you can see that you can still make a lot of mistakes on the weight loss journey and still have success. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Chances are, since you just watched that video, you're on the weight loss journey yourself. And I just wanted to let you know that I do have some more resources available to you. First of all, I have lots of freebies on my website, 6milestosupper.com/freebies. On that page, you can find lots of downloads and printables that will help you on the weight loss journey. And I've written 3 different books to help you through the process. Also, I have a course on Teachable, Intermittent Fasting for Weight Loss 101. And this takes you through the entire process of weight loss with intermittent fasting, from how to get started, and then how to build your plan and customize it to your own life, and finally, how to keep it off for the rest of your life. And I also offer weekly office hours so that you can get your questions answered directly by me. Also, there's the option to join this channel. When you become an insider, you get access to the vlog I do. I also hold an additional live Q&A just for members. The links to all these things are in the description.